Welcome to Garden Chatter, where we connect gardeners, bloggers, and experts so we can all grow and learn together. I'm really excited today. We have David Clark back on our show, and he is going to be sharing floral arrangements and talking about cut flowers and varieties we can go, all kinds of good stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So welcome, David.
Hey, thanks.
And Bren, how are you doing over there in Ohio?
Hey, Adam. Well, we were pretty dry, and then all of a sudden this morning we got dumped on. We got about 4 inches of rain all in like 2 hours. So
that's an awful lot in 2 hours.
Yeah, a lot of my cut flowers are drapey, and because they got hit, you know.
Yeah, we're super dry over here, kind of smoky actually. Also.
Oh, you guys got those fires going on out your way.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what else was really cool was Bren and I got to meet each other in person down in California when we went to the veggie trials, because we've been doing this via chats and emails and phone calls, so that was fun.
That was way cool.
Yeah.
A little too hot out in California though, but for my
I was saying it's actually not. It wasn't that hot. It could have been 10 degrees warmer. Anyway, let's get on with our show here.
We got
David,
somebody in.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
David, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about what you're up to and
where we can find you. I'm up to an awful lot. I've been very busy teaching this summer. I've been very involved with our refugee populations on the west side of Buffalo, teaching them how to do urban gardening, safe urban gardening, how to deal with soils, lead issues, pollution issues, and things like that. And I've been working through grassroots gardens here in Buffalo, and we worked through a New York State DEC grant. And recently, I have been working with interpreters in my classes. I speak to the Arabic population, the Burmese population, the Karen population, and talk to them about their vegetables that they grow. And when I first started, I thought it was going to be, oh, I'm going to teach you how to grow carrots and things like that. But the administrators told me that these people are very talented gardeners in their own land. And it's just about getting them to learn how to grow what they grew there here. And the safety aspects and things like that. So I've been busy with that. I've been doing a couple presentations at our big Erie County Fair. We're the 10th largest fair in the country. I'm doing herbs, herbalism, and medicinal gardening. And checking through my Great Garden Speakers traffic thing today, I found that I got over 28,000 clicks on that class. So
that's awesome.
That's really awesome that I'm so blessed to have everybody that follows me, and you guys, again, my friends.
Yeah, it's great to have you back.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, so tonight is all about cut flowers, and we're going to start out the event. We're going to have a poll, and It's our first poll yet. So I want everybody that's tuned in tonight to go ahead, and you should see a poll on I think it'll be on your right-hand side, and it's basically asking if you've ever taken a floral design class. Great question. And we'll keep that up. We'll just let that keep going. And let's see, David, I have a few photos. Here's you, right? Can you see that?
Oh, there I am. Yeah, that's when I was teaching down at Phipps Conservatory in Pittsburgh.
Very cool. So let's see here. And these are gorgeous. Can you see the flowers there on the screen?
Still that one picture of me there.
Okay. All right, no worries. Okay, so we'll just all new, sorry. All right, so let's see. Now I'm lost. Well, first of all, I want to do a shout out because luckily tonight, we're fortunate to have a sponsor for a product to give away, because I know you probably need a lot of tools for doing cut flowers, right, David?
Yes, you do. I sent you a picture of my little toolkit that I work in my events with. I don't know if that's there, but yeah, sharp tools, sharp knives, Band-Aids, have Band-Aids ready and things like that. Secateurs, scissors. Don't use your fingers to pinch and don't use your hands to rip. Sharp tools.
Very cool. So everyone that has registered for the event tonight is also entered into our Fisker Pruner giveaway. And at the end of the event tonight, Adam's going to pull a name out of the, hey, look at that. Beautiful.
Look at that, out of a beautiful flower vase.
Beautiful vase.
Yeah. I like this vase.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so all you had to do was register tonight, and at the end, we're going to pull a name out. And that will be exciting. So let's see. Also, I want to invite people to go ahead on the right-hand side. There's a chat that's live. You can come on. We've got quite a few people on there already, don't we? Look at that.
There we go.
We do. So we
They're
have
still coming in.
yeah, Suzanne in Ancaster, Ontario, and Sue Ellen in Toledo, Ohio, and Melanie in Northern Ohio, and Lisa is in Livonia, Michigan. And Adam, myself, Southern Oregon.
Yeah, Buffalo, New York for me.
All right, Buffalo, New York for David.
Very cool. So, all right. So, David,
Yeah.
what? Hello.
Hello.
What inspired you to get into floral design?
Oh my gosh. Well, my mom that we just heard about, she's 87 years old this year, and she is still very involved in 8th District New York State Federated Garden Clubs. And she took me to all the meetings and all the floral design programs, and I met all the ladies, and I learned a lot of techniques from them. I grew up in Angola, New York for a short while when I was younger, and then my dad packed us up when we moved to a 15-acre farm in Eden, New York. Okay, and ended up that there were some existing plantings there, beautiful peonies, 100-year-old beds of peonies that were 35 feet long, 2 of them. And gorgeous trees and some roses and things like that. And my mom would take me out there and show me how to plant flowers, because we're talking about gardening and things like that, and how to prune roses. And then, you know, when she was getting ready for events and things like that, I was right next to her watching her put things in the little pin frogs. I don't know if people remember those things, the pin frogs. That's the way the garden club arrangers do it. And I have recently relearned the joys of using those, and we used chicken wire and things like that. So pretty much that. And then, you know, growing up on the farm and around all the agriculture, I started working in the greenhouses in Eden, New York. It's called the Garden of Eden for a very good reason. We're one of the most fertile areas in New York State for growing. So I was a grape brush puller in July on these farms, and then I would walk into the greenhouses, and here they're doing hydroponic tomatoes and things like that. And then I graduated, you know, 16 years old, I graduated to seeding annuals. And a funny little thing about it, you guys know how small alyssum seeds are? They're really, really teeny tiny seeds. And sometimes you mix them with sand so you can spread it out fast. Well, I spilled an entire saucer into a flat of soil. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just graduated into this, and here I am, and I'm nervous, and I'm trying to pick all the seeds out of the top, thinking I got them all. Well, my boss came in about 4 days later and goes, "What happened to this flat over here?" And I go, "I kind of spilled some of our seeds." I said, "I thought I got them all," and he goes, "You didn't."
It's a few thousand in there.
Yeah, there was a few thousand in there and stuff like that. So, you know, we always had a lot of books in the house. My mom actually had a library. And here's how plant geeky I am. I've got a proven winner's plant geek button on. I used to read plant and flower encyclopedias for hobby instead of books and television. So
that's very cool.
learned how to do that, and then, you know, my dad was very much agriculture. His dad had a big landscaping company down in Alabama, and I'm an event technician and director also, and come to find out through genealogy, he used to do these big, huge events down in these homes down south. So I guess I got the genes from everybody here. And my dad, you know, growing up on the farm, everything was planted in a row. You know, we talked about that on no-till gardening. We don't do things in rows anymore, right, Brent? And I was going through some garden books because you see all these really gorgeous gardens, and I'm like, how are they doing these things? You know, I'm used to seeing like snapdragons like soldiers, and here they're doing these gorgeous mass plantings. So I experimented with zinnias. And zinnias are a tremendous and terrific cut flower. They're having a huge season this year. And I planted a bed in concentric circles instead. And oh my God, you should have seen the flowers come up in it, and they were beautiful. And cut the flowers, and I had snapdragons, and, you know, we had a lot of pin frogs and vases around the house. And I started learning how to put things in vases, and continued from that, and ended up going to State University of New York at Cobleskill. I have a a degree in floriculture and flower shop management and greenhouse management, and been in the industry for 30 years. You know, wholesale florist and retail florist and all kinds of great stuff.
Very cool.
Yeah.
In it. Hey, Brent, so he mentioned zinnias.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if we jump here and talk about what are some of the best flowers that we can, you know, they're easy to grow and just last and last, that we can grow for cut flowers for bouquets. You mentioned zinnias. What else would be in the top?
Oh, easy flowers. And you got a nice vase of zinnias back there. I see Lisa just commented on that. Annuals. I love annuals. They give you such a bang for the buck. The packets are very reasonable. The plants are very reasonable. They're going to bloom from, you know, about, what, 3 or 4 weeks after you put in the ground, some of them. And things like marigolds and cosmos, you guys know they come up every year in your yard if they really like it. So those seeds stay out there, and you can start planting seeds really. I do a class on winter seed starting, and I use milk jug containers. And we put them outside in February in the snow. And by the time March rolls around, you're ready to transplant and get them in the ground. So that's a really good way. Marigolds are excellent. Cosmos, larkspur. I actually have a vase of flowers on my table here. This is phlox, white phlox. It's a perennial. Okay. This is David, figured. And this one does not tend to get as much mildew as some of these other varieties do. And if you notice, it's got 3 flower heads on it. Okay, that's one stem. So a trick with phlox is when it comes up with that one stem in the middle is to pinch this center out. Okay, take it right out of the middle, and each time you prune that out, you're going to get 3 or 4 more flower stalks out of it. Really fragrant, especially at night. It's beautiful for night gardens. It's beautiful for patios and decks that you're going to be outside at night. Sometimes the moths, the pollinators, really, really love this one. So phlox is a really good one.
Very cool. We have some of those growing out front in the ditch, but they're purple.
Oh, they come in a lot of different colors. There's pink, there's pink with a white eye and things like that. This one here, I don't know if you guys know what this one is. How about
no.
Somebody share on chat if they know what that is.
How about if I show you a leaf?
Oh, quick, type it in if you know.
Hosta. Right, hosta. This is the Plantagenea style. Sorry, didn't pronounce that one right. It's called August Lily. It's from the 1850s. It goes way, way back. This makes a tremendous cut flower because when you look at the top of it, you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 8 different flowers on it. They open at night. They smell like jasmine. They're perfumed again by moths. One stalk of this in a bedroom, a bathroom, a living room will perfume your entire room for the night, and very long lasting. I used some of these in a bridal luncheon workshop that I went down to Erie, Pennsylvania for garden flower design. So that's a really good one too. Another one. This is another perennial that's coming up right now. You guys know this one here?
Is that yarrow or no?
Looks like broccoli.
it's fleshy. It's sedum. This is the autumn. Okay. This is the autumn joy sedum. Okay, but it's green. It makes a really, really great cut flower in the green form. Some people like it in the floral industry in place of hydrangea, because sometimes hydrangea are a little funny to deal with water issues. Lasts forever, and it'll dry also. Okay, so that's another really good one. So those are the cut flowers. Oh, one more. I love this one too. Petunias. Petunias make tremendous cut flowers.
Really?
And, yeah, they make great cut flowers. I know in the other one that is good that's similar to this is clematis. Okay, and I was very blessed to be an event technician on the Vanessa Williams wedding here in Buffalo, New York on the 4th of July, and we used cut clematis in bouquets and water arrangements and boutonnieres, and cut clematis will last about 3 weeks. Most people don't think it would last that long. The vines are really nice to be wrapping around bouquets and things like that, but they smell like cinnamon, almost. Almost. A little sticky on the foliage. So those are some of my picks from my yard. How about you, Brian? What do you like? What do you like to cut in your yard? You have a great garden.
Do you like my bouquet?
I do like your bouquet. I saw that.
I just cut it right before the event. I
It
don't
does,
know. I don't know if you recommend hydrangeas. I know they do better if you dry them, right?
right. Hydrangeas are really water source disadvantaged flowers. I know in the cut flower trade, we get them, and maybe 5% or 10% of that shipment is going to what we call go down. Okay, it's just going to drop for no matter what reason. So, if anybody's working on a special little event or a workshop in their backyard and you're going to use hydrangeas, do make sure you cut some extra ones. Okay, the main trick with cut flowers is, especially hydrangeas. This is my sharp little florist knife. I gets sharpened every day. Is you want to use this tool and you want to cut things at an angle, 45-degree angle. Couple thoughts on why that happens. When you put it in the vase, if you have a flat stem, what could possibly happen to it because the flower is doing what with water? It's sucking water up. So there's a chance that it could make a vacuum on the bottom of that vase and actually plug the water reservoir. So by cutting at a 45-degree angle, A, you're keeping that bottom of the stem off of the vase, and you're giving an increased surface area for water uptake. Truly important for hydrangeas. Some people in the industry soak the flower heads in water, okay, to try and get moisture up that way. But yeah, and Bren, like you mentioned, they're also really great for drying. Yeah, you can dry flowers. I think we're going to talk about that later on. Yeah. So I'll hold that thought. How's that? I'll save my tricks for later.
So you had a fun little video about pollination, pollination fact.
Oh.
I'm gonna go ahead and run that. Is that okay? I learned a lot from it. So
it's fun.
Here we go. You ready?
I got it.
All right.
Fun. Yeah, that was a really fun class. That was one of my science cafes at the Buffalo Erie County Botanical Gardens. It was called Innuendo: The Strange and Secret Sex Lives of Plants. It's pretty racy. I had to tone the video down a lot.
I'd say.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different ways that plants pollinate. There's a very interesting one called Dracea, or the hammer orchid. Okay. Comes from Australia. All the strange animals are Australian, the strange plants. And what this one does is the female, or the orchid has a shape of a female wasp, so it attracts the male. And he comes in and he tries to mate with a female wasp, okay? But it's actually a flower. And what happens is there's a spring mechanism in it. And as he goes on a date, the orchid plant throws him up to the top, and at the top of that are pollen sacs that have little sticky tabs on the back, like Post-it notes. And he wiggles free. He's got the pollen on his back, and what does he do? He sees another female plant or orchid and goes to that one and, bang, transfers the pollen back and forth again. Plants are amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So we have another poll. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to ask, do you grow flowers specifically for cutting? Okay, so let's go ahead. We start it up. It's on your right-hand side, right? So cut for vases and arranging, or to give to friends, or other. So This would be a fun little poll. We'll see what people say.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Can you see it there?
Yep, we got it. I got it. Click on the polls, folks. There we go. Other. Look at that. Vases and arranging. Good poll. Nobody gives flowers to friends. Come on. That's what flowers are for. Got to give them to your mom. She's your friend. Keep your mom happy. So we got 50% vases, 50% other. Oh, yeah.
All right. There's a beautiful arrangement.
Thank you.
Tell us about that.
This was one of the flowers that I did down at the Bridal Luncheon Workshop in Erie, Pennsylvania. It is all locally sourced cut flowers, and inside of that, were sunflowers that I sourced from a cut flower farm. Rebecchias are in there, the black-eyed Susans. Those are from my neighbor's garden. Peony foliage, that large flat leaf that's on the bottom. Excellent, excellent homegrown foliage. There was ageratum in that, and zinnias. So there was a lot of nice little varieties inside of that. And the ladies that were down there, they had never flower arranged before, and they did tremendous jobs. We did mason jar arrangements, and we did a centerpiece like that. So they walked out with 2 arrangements that day.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So we're heading into fall.
Yes.
Should we be thinking about cut flowers and things we can grow?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, what are the flowers that you're seeing out in the gardens right now? We mentioned the zinnias. Okay, zinnias are tremendous this time of year. What about marigolds? Okay, they're all over the place, and they're starting to bring in that fall color, the oranges and the reds, going along with the berries and things like that. I know up here in Buffalo, New York, I'm starting to see some of the leaves change on the trees already.
Wow.
Yeah. The red maples are just getting little tiny tinges on their leaves at this point in time. Zinnias. Okay, we mentioned that too. Well, that's springtime. But that's a nice flower and actually those were that's a potted hyacinth and preserved deer moss, and the cluster in the back is our cut daffodils and equisetum or horsetail. Okay, little word to the wise: do not plant equisetum horsetail in your yard. You'll never get rid of it. It's extremely invasive.
Really?
Okay. Yeah. This is a little Rudbeckia. Okay. And again, I know we're going to talk about drying in the future, but it dried on its own. Okay. And we'll talk about how to do that too. Some other foliages that are happening in the yard right now. You recognize this one here? Spring type flower, purple. It's a hellebore. This is hellebore atrorubens. It gets a dark raspberry blue color on it. Really great foliage. You can do a lot of different things in vase work and things like that. If anybody grows water gardens and things, I don't know if you can see that. This is miniature papyrus.
Oh, that's pretty.
That grows in my little water garden. And a fun thing about this one is inside the tops of these leaves here are little baby plantlets. If you snip this off and put it in a pot and put soil right over the top of it, it'll sprout little baby plants out of the top. Off to the back.
Very cool. All right, I got to share this one.
Okay.
Because one thing I noticed, we've had a lot of shows coming up, or we've had a lot of shows this summer, and Sakata has a new seed out. This is a new sunflower, and it's supposed to be really great for cut flowers. Have you heard about this one?
I have not heard about it, but I know sunflowers are an excellent cut flower. You saw that in the arrangement that I did before. They have a couple different uses. You can use them right in the bud stage when they first open. You can use them wide open when they have the petals on it. And then when the petals start to go, you can actually take those petals off and you get a beautiful seeded brown fuzzy center that's another texture point that you can use in your cut flower vases and arrangements for the fall. And they dry really, really great. You hang them upside down in your basement and you dry the flower heads and you can pop them onto a wreath. Okay. A grapevine wreath or a styrofoam wreath covered in moss or German statice or whatever you want to do. They're wonderful for drieds.
Very cool. So let's go into tips on growing flowers for cutting. Can you share some basic tips on growing them?
Well, growing flowers isn't a lot different than growing vegetables. You know, we know these things need 1 or 2 inches of water a week. If you're growing native annual plants, which you can purchase through a multitude of sources, they don't need really, really good soil. You know, we have a lot of clay and shale up in this area. Brent, I'm sure you do it that way. Adam, you've got a lot of, I think, sand out your way. So those work really, really good. They need about 6 hours of sun. Okay. Some of the shadier ones can get by with 4, but most of your flowering type things, you know, along with your tomatoes, they need about 6 hours. They need a couple inches of water. Good soil fertility if you're going to get into roses. Everybody wants to grow roses. Your fertilizer. Feed the soil, just like we talked about in no-till. You want to feed the soil. That's going to feed the plant. Fertilizers, they're kind of like a quick little fix. But if you do think you want a fertilizer, you do think you need to, a 5-10-10, a 5-10-5 works really, really good. I have a humongous passion flower vine on a trellis right now, and it was dropping its flower buds off. I couldn't figure out why. I found out that it was lacking potassium. So what am I feeding that? Citrus plant fertilizer from Peters. Yeah, one of the timed released ones. The one other thing that I want you to tell people to do is stop fertilizing after about the 15th of July. And they're not growing as much. We start getting those temperatures that dip down, although, you know, we're in that hot spell right now. It's not necessary to really continue fertilizing your flowers. Keep up with the water, though. You know, we get that dry spell coming up here from about the 20th of August through, you know, about the 10th of September. And keep cutting the flowers. The more you cut the flowers, especially on annuals, the more flowers you're going to get, because that plant is in it's changing, they go from vegetative to flowering, and if you take the flowers off, you're going to keep it flowering. Otherwise, it's going to go to the next phase, which is propagation and seeds. So deadhead those annual plants, folks, and your perennials.
So there's a lot of new toys on this platform we're using. It can get a little confusing. So, but anyhow, let's start another poll. Is that okay? You ready for it?
Yeah, let's do that.
So what I'm going to ask is, where do you plant your cut flower garden? Can you see it up there?
Polls. Click on the polls button, folks. There we go.
There it is.
Now, were they able to see the results of the other polls? I wonder. I don't know. Did we end it such?
I hope I didn't skip ahead.
Well, hopefully.
Quick. Well, you'll be able to see it on the replay.
Okay.
Yeah.
See,
Cool.
David gets sharing so much good information. I feel like I'm going back. And we want to keep going forward.
Oh, thank you. So
much
we got 67%. They grow them in its own bed in and with the vegetables. Nobody goes to a pick your own farm. That's okay. Other. I wonder where the other planters are. Maybe they can give us something in a chat, whether you do some container gardens or raised bed gardens or hanging baskets or something like that. You know, it'd be interesting to see what they're doing with that.
Very good. Well, now it's probably getting to be a great time to start cutting flowers for dried arrangements.
Yes,
especially
it is.
as they, you know, get a little later in the summer. So let's dive into that a little bit. You promised you would. So
okay, yeah.
What are some good flowers, good tips?
Good flowers and good tips. Well, I showed you this one before. This is a dried Rudbeckia flower. And what I didn't do anything special to this. In fact, this is left over. When was that thing in Erie? The 19th of July. And I just left it in a bucket of water in the basement, and it dried on its own. Didn't have to do anything to it. And it dried upright. You can see how the petals are still hanging down. If you dry things upside down, these petals are going to fall forward, and you're going to misshape that flower a little bit. So that's a Rudbeckia. From the same one, because we were using zinnias, this is a dried zinnia. Done the same way, in the bucket of water. Adam, if you let those zinnias drink all that water in your vase, they'll do the same thing here. It's got a crooked stem because it was in a vase. And again, if I would have hung it upside down, it's going to get the straight head to it. Not necessary to wire these things, although the zinnias do tend to have a little bit of a hinge top on it. If you're doing hydrangeas, we talked about that, how water sensitive they are. It's the same thing. Leave them in the vase of water, in about 2 inches of water. Let them soak up that water on their own, and they're going to dehydrate and dry. And then you can plug those into your wreath along with your sunflowers. They make great gifts. make great hostess gifts. Okay, and dried flowers, they're going to hold their color for 2 or 3 years. Eventually, they're going to fade out. You're going to want to replace it. Now, if you do really, really fancy type flowers, you can dry almost any flower, including tulips, including irises, including gardenias for you folks that have gardenias that growing in your yards out there. And I use a desiccant like silica gel, or I make a mix-up of borax and cornmeal. And you put it in the box, you sprinkle the powder over the top of it, and it supports the flower, and then eventually it dries out after 2 or 3 weeks. And then you can take that out, you can put a little wire in it. I don't know, Brent, if you had that video on the drying roses. There we go.
I do. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Good lead-in.
All right, so here's your video on drying the cut flowers, and these are roses.
Yes. stay. You want to leave these in the silica gel container for at least 5 to 7 days. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll put a little piece of tape on top of it. Oops. Oop. Oop.
So it looks like we're back on. Are we on?
I'm on.
Okay, I'm not sure where Bren went.
Hello, Bren.
There she is.
There's that.
Anyway, yeah, we're still trying to figure out these videos. That one seemed like it stopped sooner than it was supposed to, just by a little bit, 10 seconds or something.
Not a toy. So should we take a look at our the poll before we start talking more about roses?
There we are. Hey. I had my camera turned off.
Yeah, so it looks like in its own separate bed, in and with the vegetables is 60%.
That's great.
So pick your own farm is 0% and 40% is other. And then Suzanne said a bed garden. I'm not sure what the other was. Well, that's all right.
Very cool.
There we go.
So here, now we're jumping all around. Here's some beautiful roses. Lovely ladies.
Yeah, this was from the Vanessa Williams wedding here in Buffalo. Garden roses. I work with a company in East Aurora called Costa Mania. Erin Bauer, the other lovely lady in the dark blouse, very talented designer. And the arrangements were done all in vases with chicken wire. I'm a florist. I've been brought up with Oasis, but I learned so much from these ladies, and I am a sworn believer in Oasis now. And if you look really, really close at the bottom, that pinwheel flower is a Gloriosa lily. And to the, I think to the right-hand side, if I have my hands right, were clematis, cut clematis.
Very cool. Nice. So do you have a few roses you would suggest for us if we'd like to grow them at home for cut flowers or maybe for a wedding, right?
Oh, for what? Yeah, yeah. People do their own weddings, you know. I recommend people going to your local flower shop because I'm in the industry, but there's no sense that there's no reason why you can't try and do it in your own. Different types of roses. I would do things like hybrid tea roses. That's the big floristy type open thing. Grandiflora rose, if anybody knows the old Chicago peace rose from back in the 1940s, that's a grandiflora rose. That's a really big one. Multiflora roses. Multiflora roses are getting a bad rap now, and those are what like the wild ones that they used to plant for land reclamation on the side of the road. Come to find out, they are one of the carriers of a disease now that's called rosette disease. And what it does is it spreads to rose gardens, and it turns the ends of the canes into witches' brooms, okay, with a bunch of sprouts on it and red. It's a virus, and it's actually spread by a mite. It's called an Areophilid mite. So I have one multiflora rose that was given to me by a friend. It grows way on the other side of my house, but I use it if I'm doing little vases or, if I have something that I'm working on, or a hair piece or something like that, or for drying. So they do work, but I don't recommend people growing those things. They're real invasive. The other ones that I really, really like these days, and they're so available, like in the wholesale trade and through your flower shops, and you can grow them in your yard, are things like David Austin roses. Okay, they're really beautiful, fragrant ones. Antique roses. And if you're going to grow roses, I do recommend that you try to find some that are done on their own roots, okay, instead of the grafts, because the grafts have a tendency to freeze out in very cold zones like Bren, you and I in zone 5. Okay, so the own root roses, the antique roses, David Austin roses. If anybody has been to France, to Monet's garden, I don't know, maybe somebody can do a little thing, a little blurb on the side. I've been there. These shrub roses, David Austin roses, will grow 5.5 feet tall and 6.5 feet wide in really good conditions like they have in France. They're tremendous, and they'll last 7 to 14 days. And they dry really good, too, if you want to try that silica gel thing that I showed you how to do.
That's very cool. So should we touch base on how can you keep the cut flowers to last longer indoors? Do you have any tips?
I do. Again, I want to make sure that when people are using, tools, sharp knives, pruners, and things like that, make sure they're clean. A trick that I learned from one of the master gardeners here in Western New York is you can use Lysol bathroom disinfectant spray, the aerosol, and you missed it because it kills 99% of the germs. Okay, so that works really good. Make sure your vases are cleaned out. Okay, you can splash them with. I like using the kitchen spray disinfectants. Okay, Clorox is a little too difficult to deal with. I don't recommend it to people. It's a little dangerous. Plain old white distilled vinegar and hot water, the way that moms used to clean all the baby toys, is perfectly fine. You just want to kill the bacteria. The other thing that I want to recommend people to do is, there we go. Yeah, look at that. Flower preservative in a mason jar. This is for a hand-tied bouquet. And, your sharp little tools. Have an apron. Have my business card in front of you, too. And put your preservative in your water. You want to cut your flowers in the morning when they still have a little bit of dew on it. If you cut them in the afternoon, they're already water stressed. They may not come back. Could be a reason why hydrangeas go down, too. Okay. So you cut them, you're going to put them in a nice, fresh, clear water, let them sit and harden up for about 2 hours or 3 hours, and if you have a very cold space or you have an extra refrigerator hanging out without fruit in it, pop them in there for about 3 hours, and it'll do what's called hardening the stems, and they'll last an awful lot longer. Okay? Do not put your beautiful flowers on top of the television. Okay? It's too hot. Not on top of the refrigerator. Not in full sun. You want to keep them cool. Okay? And you want to add water every day to it. So hopefully you've gotten extra packets of preservative and mix up a nice quart of water and top it off with that every day. Another good tip is to recut the stems every 3 or 4 days. That's okay. Cut the stems 3 or 4 days because they tend to plug up with bacteria.
So while you're talking about that preservative,
yeah.
I mean, you get those weird little packets if you buy your cut flowers at the market, right?
Yeah.
And no one really knows. I mean, what is that?
Right. That's right there. Oh, it's upside down.
I'm gonna start the poll. So we're gonna see who uses it, and I hope our audience will share with us on the chat any information you'd like to share that we haven't covered on the poll. So, do you use this floral preservative in your vase of water? So, just go ahead and check what applies to you. Do you always use it, David?
I always use it. I always use it. It'll make your flowers last 30 or 40% longer. Now, I will take that back. Some flowers, and I learned this from one of my good friends in the floral industry, Jay Schwanke, has a company called U Bloom. Some flowers, if they don't have leaves on the stems, they can't take up the sugars. They can't burn the sugars. So what happens is it ends up aging the flowers. Okay? Sunflowers, if you cut your own sunflowers and they don't have leaves on it, you're almost better off using just water with a splash, maybe a splash of bleach in it. Okay, there are commercial products that are out there, but most of the time, 99% of the time, I want folks to use a commercial preservative. I've heard about the Sprite and the bleach trick. The Sprite has sugar in it. It has an acidifier in it. The bleach is an antibacterial. That's basically what is in the preservatives, but there's also pH buffering agents in this that makes a huge, huge difference. And some of them are made to clear the water in your clear vases. So, folks, I do want you to use a commercial preservative.
Very cool. So I wonder if we add them to...
Look at that. We got a 50-50. We got 50% plain water, 50% preservative. Kudos to you guys. Yeah.
There we go. I guess I have to vote for plain water.
Plain water? That's okay. It'll still work.
Yeah, I mean, if I have a packet, I'll throw it in. But
yeah, and if you're going to dry them, you can dry them in clear water.
All right. Do we have some time to run another video, or are we running short? Adam, you good?
It's up to you. I got time for you guys. I'm not going anywhere.
Okay. We have a fun little video that David shared with us about how to make a corsage. Are you ready for that, David?
Got it. Go right ahead.
All right.
Click on the videos.
Okay.
Got it.
I'm not sure what happened there.
That's okay.
It's like the video started replaying again for some reason.
Yeah, it almost looks like you have to buffer it a little bit ahead of time.
Yeah.
Maybe get it lined up a little bit, but they got the idea out of it.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it's
Lisa, I cut my thumb with one of those knives while cutting flowers for my best friend's wedding. Ouch, very sharp. You got it, Lisa. Band-Aids in that kit.
Yeah, that's no fun.
No.
So, we're pretty much done with that poll. Let's see, the floral preservatives. We're good. Did you need? Can you explain a little bit about that? Or is that good in that container? Like for how long?
The floral preservative?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll last for the life of the flowers. You may start to see it get a little cloudy in the bottom, and what it's doing is that it's killing the bacteria that's in the water, and the bacteria just goes down to the bottom of it. If it gets really, really unsightly, you know, if it isn't a bright window, you're certainly more than welcome to get rid of that water, mix up a fresh batch of preservative, recut your flower stems. That's one of the keys. Every time you move from one solution to another, you do want to recut the flower stem fresh.
Okay, very cool. So you sent me a couple of pictures of maybe you can explain what's going on here.
Oh, this thing here. This is from the Williams wedding also, and what I used is a clear water tube. The European designers use a lot of these in these big construction pieces they do, but since we were using it in floral, I decided that it would be nice to hide that the plastic with it, so I wrapped the floral tape around it the way that you folks saw in the video on making the corsages, and that is a natural rose stem instead of using a stick or a pick or something else like that. And the wire that's wrapped around that is called binding wire. Okay? Anybody in the florist trade or anybody that works a lot with flowers, wiring and taping stems. Well, that comes on a big, huge roll now, and it is such a time saver for us because you just reel it out and you wrap around and twist it, and it adheres to itself. So that's an extension tube.
Very exciting. Are you learning a lot tonight, Adam?
I am, yeah. I kind of just cut flowers, and like I said, I throw them in a vase, and
yeah, that's great.
Not. But now I can cut them at an angle, and I can try to do better at
adding 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
But you know what? I have noticed, especially after my trip to California, I kind of hung out with a bunch of different flower farm people.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of people are just growing their own and using the wildflowers in their weddings and bouquets and flowers on their head and things like that. So.
Right. Oh, they're doing this. They're doing those fabulous hair pieces and the flower crowns now and things like that. And California, as you guys saw out there, California has tremendous flowers. Their production and their handling and the shipping and things like that. They grow the most gorgeous dahlias. Things like cafe au lait and some of the oranges. And did you go out to the flower fields at all? Did you see the flower fields with the stock growing and ageratums and gladiolus and all kinds of great stuff?
Greenhouse.
Well, you do that the next time.
It's mostly veggies.
Yeah, lots of veggies.
Yeah.
But that's another podcast. Yeah.
Okay.
Time for a giveaway.
Oh
yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that. So this giveaway is going to be for the Fiskars pruners, the Power. What are they called? The Power something twos, but they look great. So we have everyone that registered for the webinar, and that person may or may not be live. Oh, there they are.
There they are. They're nice.
I hope they're alive. They're not going to be able to use them.
Heavy duty.
Yeah.
Supposed to be right-handed. Here we go. They're really nice. So what do we got, Adam?
Well, so I have all these little slips in here, and so I'm going to pull one out. And then I do have another little, well, let's take a look here. We have Suzanne. And I believe Suzanne is been chatting with us, so congratulations, Suzanne, and we'll get in contact with you. And then I had, just going to dump these out. I have this full baggie of seeds. Brent and I went to California to the veggie trials, and this is Seeds by Design. They don't usually sell these retail. They're usually wholesale, but they made up a special 20th anniversary little bag. So there's about 20 packets of seeds in here. And I just wanted to throw in the names of, heck, we'll throw Sue Ellen and Terry and Suzanne, Melanie and Lisa, everybody that's been chatting with us. And
cool.
then I'll get in contact with you because we really appreciate you jumping on the chat roll with us and
Absolutely
hanging out with us. So Melanie, so I'll get in contact with Melanie and we'll see about shipping you these seed packets from, again, from Seeds by Design. They're in Willows, California.
Right. So this was a lot of fun. I learned a lot tonight.
It was fun.
Yeah. I think it's every gardener's dream to have a wedding in their garden, maybe. Huh, Adam? Maybe. It's a lot of work someday. But now,
Adam, you could have it underneath that grape arbor you were working on.
Oh, gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now we would know. Now we would know how to make our boutonnieres and whatnot, right?
Right.
That's right.
You can wrap grapevines and do those hair pieces and all kinds of good stuff. Make some domade.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, David, and everyone else that is chatting with us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's good to see everybody here. We had a good turnout tonight, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you and Brian and Adam. Thank you so much.
And really quick, can you tell us where we can find you on the web?
Oh my gosh, there's a couple of places. Yeah, really quick. www.davidclarkwny.com. That's my Facebook page. Twitter is @david37771. GreatGardenSpeakers.com. You can follow all of my classes on that. And I hope I get to travel around the country and book me to come out to your groups, folks.
Great. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.